Welcome to my Action Research virtual poster presentation. I am Andrea Zanelli and currently battling some laryngitis, so please bear with me as you watch through my presentation. My biggest struggle seems so easy for others, asking questions. How do I improve my use of questioning in my classroom while giving lessons so my students remain interested in what I am teaching or showing them? During my lessons, I felt as though I would lose the room to cell phones or anything other than what I was talking about. Not every day, but many of the days. I find if students are not involved with the lesson, their minds wander and they lose interest. I feel like the answer should be very simple, but knowing the answer and putting those words to practice is tricky in a classroom of 20+ students. Asking questions is crucial for checking in on students during lessons to make sure that they have an understanding of what is being taught, as well as keeping them engaged. It's essential to the way students receive information as well as process the information. Effective questioning encourages independent and critical thinking. So this is the slide where I have revised my research question. What style of questions are most effective in promoting classroom engagement is my new, more of a detailed focus. When students are engaged, I know they are listening. When students are listening, they are also learning. Effective questioning encourages students to engage with not only their work, but with each other. Using effective questions helps students to get their thoughts out, allowing them to think out loud. Providing effective questions for students helps with their confidence, improves their listening and speaking skills as well. It also builds critical thinkers. Effective questioning helps to clarify an understanding as well as motivates and develops an interest of a topic. This strategy will allow teachers to check a student's understanding. In order to incorporate effective questioning in a classroom, they must be implemented effectively. Effective questioning is perfect to get students thinking critically and independently. It will help you as a teacher discover what they may or may not understand. With effective questioning in your classroom, student engagement will be more present and help to keep lessons productive. Some ideas and solutions for asking effective questions in the classroom. Use a no hands policy, ask a question to the entire class, and then pick a student. Of course, we're going to let the students know that this will be happening so that they can be prepared for it. Using a wait time, give students time to think about their response before speaking up. Use open-ended questions, allow students to provide detail and reason for answer, gives more opportunity for discussion. And then using closed-ended questions is great for quick facts and moving lessons forward. Having students question each other gets everyone involved and thinking. Follow-up questions, where did the answer come from? Expand the answers. Have students in groups ask themselves questions, stimulate their interest in a topic, and challenge their own thinking. So this is my definition of terms. This slide is pretty straightforward. The only real terms that I could use is questioning or question. So you can just have a look and refresh your memory on what the actual definition of these two terms is. So the next few slides are going to be a few articles that I have found during my research that I found to be very useful and full of some valuable information. The first one is 6 types of questions to improve classroom discussions. You can click on the titles of each of the next, I think, 5 slides and go to the web pages where I've gathered my information from. The purpose of this article is to give teachers a place to go to find new strategies for using effective questioning in classrooms. What I found most useful in this write-up was that it was straightforward. The ideas were presented to me in a clear and concise form, and I enjoy reading articles when I don't have to click here and there to find the information that I want. What it comes down to is that questions are the heart of a discussion. A great question will challenge your students, and if the right questions are asked, students will be thoroughly engaged in the discussion. Thought-provoking questions equal better discussions. 8 Great Strategies to Help Students Ask Great Questions is my next article. Again, you can click on the link to go to the webpage. This article explains different strategies to get your students talking and asking great questions. These strategies are a little outside of the box. For example, number 3 on the list is Socratic discussion. It's a group learning strategy. Students learn together by talking together in an open-ended, student-centered format. Student-led discussion, they talk to each other. Used strategically, this approach promotes inquiry as learning. Number 4 on the list, the Padilla seminar. It's similar to Socratic discussion on the part of the students, but it's combined with a clear role for the teachers. Its purpose is to support students' ability to think conceptually and communicate collaboratively. An updated guide to questioning in the classroom. This article opened my mind to seeing the value in a question, both as a teacher and from the mind of a student. Some key points and strategies that stood out to me. Goal in education is teaching students to think. A good question causes thinking, results in more questions. Bad question stops thinking and causes doubt and confusion. The question in most cases is more important than the answer. Once a student responds with a question, the magic of learning really begins. So for my next slide, the article was called The Importance of Questioning in the Classroom. So the role of questioning in classrooms is the inclusion of questioning can create rapid and positive changes in the classroom. There are 2 good reasons for questioning: to cause thinking and to provide information to the teacher about what to do next. What makes a good question? Incorporating Bloom's taxonomy, closed or open-ended questions, proper planning, and wait time, all are part of what make good questions. Bloom's taxonomy is a system that was created in 1956 and is used to define different levels of cognition. It can be used to plan for all levels of cognition. Teachers can encourage higher order thinking by building up from lower level cognitive skills. All levels are important, and making provisions provide opportunities for all. This type of questioning is a skill, and to incorporate into a lesson with the most impact requires thoughtful planning. How questioning can be effectively used in classrooms. No hands up lets students know that anyone can be called on. Talk partners encourages all learners to engage with a question and gives them time to think and allows the quieter students to feel more confident. Questioning is an important part of effective planning and teaching and should be a central part of a classroom practice. It takes practice, and skills will be mastered over many years in a teaching career. Okay, for this slide, we've got 10 effective ways to improve your questioning in the classroom. So there's a ton of information in this article, so I am going to just go ahead and read my points and give a little bit of information to each of the points. So number 1, questioning monitor. Questioning monitor, you involve students in the evaluation and reflection of the questioning, have students track responses. Number 2, hinge point questions, useful for formative assessment. Lesson can move in different directions. Number 3, Socratic questioning and Socratic circles, probes thinking and gets students questioning. Number 4, thunks, initiate deeper thinking, simple questions that open an array of deeper thinking. Number 5, key questions as learning objectives, initiate thinking and group discussion, engage students by starting the lesson with a question that gets them thinking about what it is they are about to learn. Okay, continuing from the last slide, number 6, if this is the answer, what is the question? Reverse the standard question to spark students' inquisitiveness. Number 7, just one more question. Challenge students by giving them a series of challenging questions. Encourage collaborating to broaden their range of questions. Number 8, I love. Pose, pause, pounce, bounce. Present the question to the class. Wait, then choose a student to answer, and then piggyback that to another student. It's a great way to start a class discussion. Number 9, question continuum. Breaking down the question in groups, document the breakdown of the question. It shows a good indication of interest level. And then finally, number 10, the question wall. Keep questions visible, use post-it notes to display, and have students commit by writing down. Okay, for our next slide, we have think, pair, share. Some students that are shy tend to keep quiet during classroom discussions. I know I was one of them. Using something like think, pair, share gives those students a safer and more relaxed environment, talking in small groups instead of having to speak in front of an entire class. It gives these students more of an opportunity to feel comfortable sharing their thoughts. This strategy also improves student speaking and listening skills. Each student can learn from their partner and feel more confident when answering questions. I had an awakening being back in school. I discovered there is so much more to learn in my life. During this program, I have had to learn how to learn again, and wow, have things changed. I was in shock for a few weeks. It is very easy to become comfortable in our daily lives. To be back in school later in my life has almost made me wish I could go back and start fresh again. A bigger challenge as a student has been learning how to research. The technology that is available today is unbelievable. Getting lost on the World Wide Web happens so quickly, and it can take you so far off of your original path. I found this happening to me while I was doing my research for this course. I have never been one to surf the web, and I do find it to be overwhelming at times. Finding a comfort level using a computer is another challenge I must face in my near future. Being a teacher in today's generation will have many challenges, and keeping up with technology is crucial. Students today do not know anything different. Being current and up to date is something that students need in a teacher so that they can relate and engage, especially in hairstyling and aesthetics classroom. I want my students to want to be in my class every day. The atmosphere will be one that is welcoming and safe, a place where everyone will have equal opportunity to learn. My classroom will always be a fun environment but structured. When it comes to student engagement, finding a comfort zone can be challenging. However, I believe that being able to deliver good lessons and instruction is a great way to engage with students. Asking the right questions and allowing class discussion keeps energy in a room. Asking questions to properly engage my students has been the area in teaching where I found myself struggling. As I glanced around the classroom during my lessons, I found most students buried in their cell phones. When I would present a question to them, they would stare at me as if I had 3 heads. I always felt comfortable in the room, however, delivering a lesson was a challenge. Some days I felt like I was wasting my time. During my observation days, I found myself in awe of my associate teacher. Most days my associate teacher had all eyes on her. She had a way of bringing her sense of humor to class. The students loved it and responded well to it. My action research is based around the following issue. How can I grab the student's attention? How can I make student engagement easier? How can I improve my confidence when delivering lessons? How do I improve my use of questioning in my classroom while giving lessons so that my students will remain interested in what I am teaching or showing them? Which then brought me to what style of questions are most effective in promoting classroom engagement. Finding the answer to this question is definitely my goal. We've always been taught to plan, plan, and plan again. I knew nothing about action research up until this point. I believed it came with experience during lesson planning. I believe that trying something new with a lesson came from trial and error and also from reflecting on your lessons. Keeping a journal with your reflections is the perfect strategy so that you can look back on your lessons. It will help you to remember what went well and not so well. I realize now that to be a better teacher, you must focus in on your problem and research as many different avenues until you find the one that works best for you. You may discover that using combinations of techniques and strategies will work best. Reflection is crucial, and adjusting after you reflect is key. Your plan needs clarity in order to solve your problem. The following data sources will accompany my action research plan. Number 1, student observation. Daily point form notes to keep track. Number 2, reflection journal. I will reflect each week on how engaged the students were during lessons and after lessons. and make adjustments as needed. Number 3, the exit card survey. It'll be an anonymous question card with simple questions to see if the students found the lessons that week exciting and interesting. So what does a bad data source look like? I have a few examples here of what bad data sources look like. There are many of them, but these are the 3 that stuck out for me. To be good at anything, you must be consistent. It is easy to start the year off with good intentions. However, life gets busy and it's easy to let things slip up. If reflection is a data source for you, consistency is crucial for accuracy. Infrequent assessment is another bad data source. Tests, quizzes, etc. gives teachers a picture of what each student seems to understand. With infrequent assessments, the opportunities to see progress are limited. The next one example that I found is the data that you're using is dated. Using your assessments at the right time, and even if they lead to the correct interferences, will be of no help at all if not used the right way. Understanding will be lost with time. Data that is dated is like spoiled milk. Triangulation, validity, and reliability. Triangulation is about gathering evidence over time from 3 sources: observation, conversation, and product. To compare the different samples of evidence to each other gives us an accurate picture as possible of student learning. Each student has an opportunity to be evaluated in a way that is fair to each of them. It's differentiation that is developed as a result of incorporating triangulation into teaching and learning practice. Fairness is the heart of triangulation. Reliability and validity. In the image you see in the slide, above the bullseye, each target represents the information desired. The dots represent each score obtained, and a dot in the bullseye indicates the information required. For my action research to be a success, the students in my classroom will be the focus. My research is based solely around effective questioning that promotes student engagement. My data will be collected through observations followed by reflection journaling and exit card surveys. When you're doing data research and action research, you have to use your ethical considerations. The privacy and confidentiality of your students is of utmost importance. To ensure the privacy of all information will be quite simple in my case. All information collected will be kept confidential. Survey exit cards will be anonymous. Taking time every day to take notes about my students being engaged is a true testament to the effectiveness of my questioning. At the end of the week, writing a short reflection in a journal will give me a record of how my lessons went regarding class engagement. It is something I can look back on and make any adjustments needed when necessary. Having students give me feedback after a unit will also give me a resource to look back on and again make the changes when needed. The data I will collect will be kept in a logbook. I am a little old school and I like taking notes. Once a month, I will take my notes and transfer to my computer, where I will create a folder. In this folder will be files organized by date. And here is where I will store any of my recorded data. The final piece to this puzzle, designing my action research presentation, is the first step to improving how I teach my lessons. I believe that with continuing to break down my teaching practices through some detailed research will only benefit me as I move forward in my career. As far as what I chose for this action research plan, I found it difficult to dig really deep. Most of the information I found was very similar. My next research project, I want to be sure I find a topic that I can go deeper with. The information that I found has opened my eyes to many different questioning strategies, and I will look forward to Block 3 to put these practices into my own lessons and activities. Thank you so much for listening.